Let's have some fun. Welcome and good afternoon. My name is Shane, and normally today I'd be saying we're going to have some fun listening to some great music, but I have something a little different on the channel today. I recently went to Minnesota, the Minneapolis area, for a little vacation, and during my time there, I got a chance to to go on the Paisley Park tour. So I thought I'd give a little recap of that for those of you who might be interested. Tell you a little bit about what you see on the tour, my impressions of the tour overall, and so yeah, hopefully you enjoy. So I guess the first thing to mention is that there are three different tours that you can go on. I actually just went on the basic tour, the Paisley Experience, it's called. It's $48 per person. And I'll kind of go into detail on what you see on that tour, but it's basically you're touring the main floor of Paisley Park with some studios and some other areas kind of set up so that you can kind of take a look at them, see some artifacts and that kind of thing, generally speaking. There is another, that tour is 90 minutes, by the way. The tour above that one is called the VIP Experience, and that one's $85 a person. It's an extra 30 minutes, so instead of an hour and a half, you're getting 2 hours, and you get access to additional content, additional rooms and studio areas that aren't in the lower tier tour, if that makes sense. It also says that you get a unique and exclusive photo opportunity. Obviously, I didn't get that tour. However, I do know that the photo opportunity is you get to take a picture in one portion with a piano, one of a kind piano that Prince has there at Paisley Park. So I think that's what the unique photo opportunity is. There is a tour even above that called the Ultimate Experience. That one's $160 a person, and it is a full 3 hours long. It includes access to additional areas that aren't on the prior two tours. I think you get access to all three studios, Studio A, B, and C there. You get some exclusive video footage that you get to screen. There's a special audio playback session that they talk about in the experience. And again, I've read about somebody else who did the tour and had this experience, and I believe they let you do like a mock recording in one of the recording studios. I believe is what that is. Again, you get access to archived items that aren't on the prior tours. And it says light beverages will be served at the conclusion of the tour. So I think, again, I read somebody who went on that tour, and I think you get like one drink at the end of the tour. So that just kind of gives you a kind of the layers of what you might see on each tour. Again, I only went on the lowest one, the $48 tour, so I don't have firsthand knowledge of the other two. I'm coming into this. I'm not like the hugest diehard Prince fan. That being said, I'm also probably not. I was going to say the average person out there. I know enough about Prince's backstory and why he went by the symbol for those years, which they talk about on the tour as well. And so I might have a little bit of a leg up on the average person. But again, I'm not a diehard fan that knows all of his catalog and all of that stuff. I have reacted to some songs on this channel. So go check those out if you'd like to see me react to some of those songs. But that kind of gives you an idea of the different tour packages that are available. I'm kind of looking at my notes so I don't forget anything here. So I guess the first thing that I thought was interesting is that the tour itself is, or I should say, Paisley Park is located in Chanhassen, Minnesota, which is just outside of Minneapolis. It's like a little suburb of Minneapolis. Not very far, very easy to find. The thing that was most surprising to me, I think, is that it is not a secluded location. It is right on the highway. You can see it right on the highway, driving past it. It's not secluded in any way. It's not covered with trees. It's not, you can very easily see it from the highway. it's like right there on the corner of the highway and the turnoff. So I thought that was a little interesting. I was thinking it might be more secluded, but it's absolutely not. The other thing is, if you haven't already seen pictures of Paisley Park, it has a very like corporate building feel to it. It doesn't look like a residence. It looks more like a corporate office building almost. Though I don't think quite as many windows as that, but it has a very corporate look to it. Not very. It doesn't look like what you might traditionally think of as somebody's residence, but that's just kind of my impressions as you see from the outside. We had tickets purchased in advance, of course. We arrived, before our time to make sure we had plenty of time to get there. There's a security gate to get in to the parking lot, even. So once you arrive at the parking lot, there is an opportunity to get your picture outside with the symbol that is out on the grassy area in front of the building. So I did that, and then going in, even before you get into the lobby, the other thing that was kind of surprising is that you have to turn off your cell phone. There are no photos or videos allowed for most of the tour. Not only do you have to turn off your phone, but you have to put it in one of those privacy pouches that locks, so you don't have any way of getting your phone out during the tour until a part of the tour that they let you, if that makes sense. So most of the tour, you're not allowed to take pictures, audio, video, anything. And I guess that's the strictest cell phone policy I've ever come across, I guess. And again, totally understandable, but just something that I wasn't necessarily expecting when going on the tour. So again, security, yeah, generally the rules I think were pretty easy to follow. No knives or guns or weapons of any kind were allowed in. You couldn't touch anything, lean on the walls, um, you know, handle any of the artifacts. So, again, I think just as you would expect when you're going into a museum type place, that's kind of what you get. Once inside the lobby, they check you in, make sure your tickets are valid and all of that, and then you're led on a guided tour. I'd say a semi-guided tour. I think the tour groups are 20 or less people. So, and most of the tour time slots sell out, from what I understand. But right away, you walk in under the eyes that kind of watch you, and I'll throw up a picture of that. Again, this isn't my picture, but one I found on the internet that is basically this area. So you walk into the Atrium area, past gold and platinum records hanging on the wall, so you get to see like the actual gold and platinum records hanging there. And then the Atrium area is kind of an open area so that there's natural light coming in. And they have staged some of the closets and rooms off of the Atrium with artifacts from different periods of Prince's music career. So there's like a little closet with an artifact from different periods of his music career. Also off of the Atrium is a small kitchenette area where apparently he would sometimes watch TV or videos or basketball games or whatever. And it was just off of a small kitchen, so that he would have some late night snacks there or whatever, apparently, or he would sometimes host people there as well. And the Atrium is an area that he also hosted people on occasion. Also off of the Atrium is his office, and the office is pretty much in the same state it was when he passed away. So there's a little bit of stuff that's staged in there. A couple of artifacts that I think are staged in there. But for the most part, the office is in the same condition as when he passed away. So you can kind of see how his office looked when he was working. Um, and then kind of on the balcony above the atrium are some doves that they keep there at Paisley Park. They continue to keep doves there. I think they have two doves that they keep there. And so coming off of that, you're each area, you're kind of the tour guide kind of gives you a little bit of background. Sometimes you may watch a video. So I think in the atrium there was a room that we watched a video to give you a little bit of perspective or backstory. And then the tour guide gives you information, answers any questions you may have about the area. And then oftentimes you're allowed, like the group is just allowed to kind of browse on their own the area. And so that usually goes on for, 10 minutes or whatever. You're allowed to kind of browse and look at things on your own in the area. You have to stay in that area, obviously, before you get moved on to the next area. So it's, as I said, it's a semi-guided tour in the sense that there is a tour guide leading you from place to place, but you do have time at most of the places to look at things in whatever order you want to look at them. And you have time to just kind of take it all in, if that makes sense. The next rooms I may get a little out of order because again, not having any way to document anything at the time, my memory may not be perfect when it comes to which room was next and that kind of thing. And hopefully I'm not forgetting any of the rooms, but I believe the next room was, like a choreography room. So there was, it had like a basketball court floor to it or a dance floor to it. And apparently and it was staged with, artifacts from Purple Rain. So, this is the room that had the motorcycle from Purple Rain. It had one of his outfits from Purple Rain. It had his Academy Award, was on display. And there were scenes from the movie playing on a big projected screen. And again, we were told a little bit about it, and then we were kind of allowed to kind of wander around. But apparently he would use it to choreograph dance moves for videos or for whatever movie project he may have been working on. Also used it for basketball on occasion. So I was thinking of the Dave Chappelle skit with Prince playing basketball. This must be the room where that took place, I'm guessing. So it was kind of cool to see that. After that, we went to a recording studio, I believe. And again, I may have these a little out of order, but we did go to a recording studio. And this was a recording studio that had several recording rooms, soundproof recording rooms off of the main recording area. So that, you had one with a soundboard and with a mic in there for somebody to sing. You had one area set up for drums, one maybe for guitar or whatever. Most of the area was like soundproofed. There was one room that was made up of stone, granite, or something that allowed some reverberation based on whether they wanted some reverb on the sound or whether they wanted the sound deadened. They could use various rooms to record. This was the room where we got a chance to hear an unreleased jazz song that Prince was working on at the time of his death. Again, not something that's been released. We didn't hear the whole song or anything, but just a snippet of it to kind of give us an idea of what he was working on at that time. And so that was interesting just to see this recording area. And, there were many famous albums that he recorded in that recording studio. And other bands have used that recording studio as well, even since his death, I believe. I believe somebody was there in 2019 that used it. I can't remember the artist now, but they just released something in 2019 that was recorded at Paisley Park, and it was recorded in that studio that we saw. So that was really cool. Also, I think off of that room was what I'll call the shoe room. So Prince had thousands of pairs of custom shoes, and on display in this room were 300 of those pairs of shoes. Um, and I didn't see a single tennis shoe or sneaker in the whole lot. It was mostly high heeled, those high heeled platinum boots, or platinum platform boots. I don't know what they are. I mean, I don't know what you call them, but you know what I'm saying. The thing you always saw Prince wearing, the high heeled, like wedged boots. And so there were 300 pairs of those in that room on display in a big glass cases on one of the walls. And this room also highlighted the other things he was involved in terms of fashion. So, some of his, you could see some of his notes on some of the outfits, some of the custom outfits he had made. Um, and in various parts of the tour, you get to see some of the clothing he wore. And he was extremely small, extremely small. I think they said his official height was 5'3", but that may have been with shoes on. And his waist was between 24 and 27 inches. So he was extremely small. He was a tiny guy. And you could tell that looking at the clothing too. But yeah, so just all these shoes. And then there was a 3D printed piano, not a working piano, but like a display for a display, that the whole piano, other than like the keys and the legs, were glass, and it was big. It was a big display case for more shoes, basically. And so you got a chance to just see some of the pairs of shoes that he had and some of his fashion influences and that kind of thing in this room. And there's a video that kind of talked about how his custom shoes were designed and made and all of that stuff, and his collaborators on his shoes. So that was pretty interesting. Um, and I think there was something else. I don't know. I think the next room was the Soundstage. So we were taken down a hall and shown a video about his emancipation, if you will, where he took back his name and stopped going by the symbol, or the artist formerly known as. He went by Prince again once his contract was up, and he took back his um, production rights, if you will. So it was after that we went to the Soundstage, and here was the area that they unlocked all of our phones. So once we were in the Soundstage area, all of our phones were unlocked so that we could take video, take pictures, whatever you wanted to do. The Soundstage is just this huge room where he could, it was a soundstage, so he could play music there. He could work on movies that he may have been working on, scenes, videos, that kind of thing. And they played some music, so you kind of got a little bit of the feel of what it would have been like for him to perform in the soundstage area, if that makes sense. And again, there were displays around the outside of the soundstage area, so you get to see his I think it was a Pegasus piano, specially made. There are only two in existence. I think the other one Lenny Kravitz owns. Um, so you get to see that piano. You get to see his a couple of custom cars that he had, um, which I'll show some pictures of. You get to see a couple more of his outfits, another piano of his, and again, everything is kind of just so you can kind of see the soundstage area, which is just this enormous room, um, just an enormous room that he used to record and that kind of thing. And then, so after the soundstage area, again, you're giving your phones back, and so from this point forward, we were able to take pictures and video and all that fun stuff. But after the soundstage area, we went into the what I'll call the nightclub, if you will, the NPG nightclub, New Power Generation nightclub, and this is um, a more intimate venue, if you will. So the soundstage is enormous. The nightclub area is just like you would think of it. A nightclub, there's a stage with for performance on there, and then there's some like couches and lounge seating, if you will, in the area. And this is where many of his impromptu concerts would take place, or if he was hosting people, like after hours, or, you know, after hour shows where he was hosting people that might take place here at the soundstage area. And so it was just kind of cool to see the soundstage area and see the area where a lot of these concerts took place. And he hosted a lot of his own personal events and that kind of thing. In that same area, that the soundstage area is, or excuse me, the nightclub area is basically the last room of the tour. And so at that point, you're allowed to hang out as much as you want. There's a little cafe in the area, like in that same nightclub area, so that you can get coffee or drinks or whatever. And just, as I said, there's like lounge seating around, so you can just kind of lounge around in that area as long as you want. You're not like kicked out at any point. And then right off of the cafe and the nightclub area is the gift shop. So there's, you know, shirts and memorabilia and magnets and whatever else, albums, you know, vinyl albums and all of that stuff that you can get. It's like the official Paisley Park gift shop. And it's just like you would expect out of any museum gift shop. And then, you know, after that, you exit the building and you kind of are on your own. But as I said, you can kind of hang out in the nightclub cafe area as long as you want. So that was kind of cool too. So that kind of gives you a recap of everything in the tour. Again, this was the $45 or $46 90-minute tour. So now my impressions. Overall, I'd say even if you're a general music fan, I think it was still pretty cool to see everything on display, hear the stories. The tour guide was amazing, very knowledgeable, answered all of our questions. I never felt like we were rushed. We had plenty of time in each area to walk around at our leisure and look at things. So I never felt rushed, and the tour guide was amazing. So that's kind of my thoughts on, or my positive thoughts about all of that. The only negatives I would say is it is too bad. I completely understand the privacy, so completely understand that. But most museum areas, you're allowed to take pictures, just in general, and so not being able to take photos was a little unexpected for me. At that point, again, you can take them at the very end once you're in the soundstage area and past that, but not being able to take pictures of anything else was kind of odd, especially because with some Google searching, you can find pictures of a lot of these areas anyway, if you really want to. And I'm going to use some, I've used some of them in this video, probably. I've probably dropped some of them in here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But the fact that you can't personally take any pictures while you're there seemed a little bit odd, I guess. They talked about how much he valued privacy and that kind of thing, and I completely understand that, as I said. But it seems strange to say that and then allow you to have your cameras back in the soundstage area later on. I don't know. It just a little odd to me. The other thing that I'd say is a little bit of a negative is that you don't really see any of his living area. You see his office. But most of the other places that you see are the recording areas that he would record stuff, that kind of thing. But you don't see any of his, like, you're not seeing his living area at all, which I'm assuming is all upstairs. You're not seeing any of that. And I don't think any of the tours show you any of that from what I've read. So even if you take the ultimate experience, you're not going to see his living area. You're going to see more studios and that kind of thing, but you're not going to see his, like, day-to-day living area, which I think would be way more interesting to view as an add-on. But again, I understand why they don't allow that. Completely understand that, but it was something that I was almost expecting to see that I didn't get to see, if that makes sense. And again, even the higher tours don't allow you to see the living area either. So it's not like you can pay for the ultimate experience and see those either. But overall, again, as I said, I'd say it's worth it. $46. Basically, you're going on a tour like a museum almost, except you're in spaces that things were actually recorded and actually filmed. And you get to see, artifacts like you would see in a museum, But again, just to be in that area and kind of see the space, even if you don't get to see his living area, is still pretty cool, I thought. And so, even though I'd say anybody who's even a marginal music fan, um, it would be worth it if you're in the area, um, up in that area to take a look and see it. I know they used to have, and this may have only been at the 5 year anniversary of his passing, but I know at one time they had his urn, so you could see his urn that contains his ashes. But that's been removed off the tour, so you don't have access to see that anymore. I don't believe on any of the tour levels you still can't see his ashes. That was like a short term thing that they allowed. And I don't know how often or how frequently the tour, the artifacts on display change. So, if we went back 6 months from now, I don't know if it'd be the same exact tour or it would be different. I don't know how often that stuff changes. So I'm kind of curious about that. But as I said, overall, something I would recommend. I don't regret having done it. I thought it was pretty awesome. Just a couple of those minor, not complaints even, but just minor things to be aware of. If you go in expecting that you're going to be able to take photos of stuff or be able to see his living area and that kind of thing, that's not the case. You're not going to see that on the tour. With all that said, I know it's a little bit of a different video than what I traditionally do, but it is music related, and I know there's some Prince fans on the channel. So, or maybe you've just come to see this video, in which case you wanted to see what was on the tour, and now you know. So that's where I will leave things. Thanks so much for watching. Drop some comments. Let me know if you've gone on the tour, if you had different perceptions than I did. I'd love to hear it. If you went on one of the higher level tours and you have some comments about the higher level tours or things that I may have missed, please drop those in the comments. And thank you so much for stopping by and watching. And until next time, have a great evening.